Hello, friends. We're back again. Welcome to Fightful. It's September 18th, 2025. I am at Joel Pearl, thejoelpearl.com on Blue Sky, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. Flying solo tonight, baby. SP3 had a prior engagement. Cresta is on a sabbatical. So you get me, my dulcet tones, for one more week. SP3, the plan is to be back next week with him. Programming note, we're not going to be doing a Victory Road post show. Reason for that being the show starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, and your boy's tired, okay? I just got back from London, Ontario. I was at AEW September to Remember yesterday. Great show. Lots of fun. I'll be at AEW All Out on Saturday, Mystery Wrestling on Sunday. If you're in Toronto, if you're in the area, say hi. I'll be around. Would love to see you. Would love to shake your hand or at least give you a fist bump and say, how you doing? Not like the other guy would say, how you doing? But just, hi. Anyway, getting your super chats, getting your humper chats. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, what's wrong with you? It's time. Get up there. You should do it. And while you're at it, you can also leave a thumbs up. Goes a long way. Gets you talking about us, talking about you, talking about your friends, and getting us a little bit closer to those ears that we love to hear from those pro wrestling fans. You know that you're a pro wrestling fan if you're here, if you're watching the show, if you are listening to it, if you are consuming this form of media, you are probably a pro wrestling fan. And if you are, congratulations. You've joined the niche of the niche. And we're loud and we're proud and we're kind of geeky. But anyway, here we are. It's TNA Impact. The show was actually a mix of stuff. I can't tell you it was amazing. I can't tell you it was terrible. I got some feelings, especially coming after Tuesday's NXT when suddenly the entire TNA roster became keyboard warriors and we didn't talk about it, even though that's the champion's moniker is let's talk about it. We didn't talk about it. So I'll have some thoughts on that. And of course, the rest of the show setting up for Bound for Glory. You got Victory Road next Friday, like I said. Or is it next Friday? Yeah, it's not this Friday. It's next Friday. It's coming up. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It's going to be a good time. I got Scott in the chat saying, give Joel some water. Let me tell you, this was actually unexpected last night at AEW. I had a empty bottle of water, not a reusable bottle because they won't let you into the building with that. I'm going to go on a tangent for a second. So, okay, let me take it way back. Maybe you don't know the lore. Let me take it way back real quick. Forbidden Door 2023, I went to the show, I went to the press conference, and the one thing that I absolutely said was, if you're going to do a press conference after the show, media should have a bottle of water ready for them for when they get to the press room. I think that's nice after a 6-hour show. Okay? No one ever really fought me on it. It was just kind of it's a good idea. So, now the joke is, when I go to AEW, I push for water, and I've done this with AWPR too, so no one's really shocked to hear me say this. So I go to the show last night, and I had this empty bottle of water. It's an Aquafina container, like, just like one of these. It's Aquafina because it was in the dollar store. So I bring it. So I got an empty one of these, and I'm like, hey, can I bring this in? I ask security, and they're like, you should be okay. I'm not going to tell you for sure, but you should be okay. And I get my ticket checked in, and I go in, and they're like, oh, you can't bring that bottle in. I'm like, not even just to fill over at the water station over there? I'm like, no, you can't. I'm like, but you have the water station. I'm like, yeah, but not tonight. It's the venue rules for this particular show. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, I'm not saying it's AEW saying you can't do it. It's probably more like they don't want you throwing bottles at the talent in case there's a moment. And, pro wrestling and fans tend to get a little, throwy when it comes to certain heat segments. So I get it. But in the moment, I was like, come on, man, just give me my bottle of water. $5.50 for a full bottle. What are you doing? Come on. $5 for a bottle of water. Where are we living? Anyway, I'm out of it. I'm back. Let's talk about TNA. Let's talk about the keyboard warriors, shall we? Show opens up. Mustafa Ali defeats Brian Myers. A lot of outside interference, which is something you're going to hear about tonight on the show. Ali wins with the shock crucifix pin. All of this was in service of the post-match beatdown. Both teams start fighting, including Tasha Steelz, Lisha Edwards. They fight Big Bill, Agent Zero. Big Bill headbutts Moose. They sell that really hard. Moose goes down as a result of that. And then Santino comes out and he announces that at Bound for Glory, it's going to be hardcore war. And the way it shows on the TNA flyer is 5-on-5, including Tasha Steelz, Lisha Edwards, and Agent Big Bill Zero. So I'm looking forward to this as a 5-on-5 potentially, especially because it gives Agent Big Bill to actually have a match sanctioned somehow, even though it's Hardcore War, through TNA. That should be fun. And of course, getting Tasha and Lish in on the fun is an extra added bonus because those two are just as much of the story on both sides as anyone else. So I'm looking forward to at least doing the story of Hardcore War. I saw the Great Hands tweeting out about their experience so far with Bound for Glory, going all the way back to 2005. I think Skylar said, in 05 I was watching. In 2015 I had a tryout match, and then he goes every year since he's been signed, where he's either been on the pre-show or off the card or in a call your shot gauntlet match. And this is the first time he's on. They're supposed to be on the main card. And I think it's a really cool thing that you can track that progression since you started and how far you've come to be on the biggest card of the year. I think that's pretty cool. So this is a match that I'm looking forward to. It's a Hardcore War. It'll be a plunder match. It'll be crazy spots and people just saying this is awesome. And it'll be in service of who's the bigger team, who's the better team. And hopefully, when all is said and done, Mustafa Ali is going to be going after the world title anyway. So what does it matter? It should be good stuff. I'll enjoy it. They'll brawl through the crowd and everyone will have fun saying I got to see my favorite person beat up this other person, which I'm interested in watching. Backstage, Dani Luna is getting ready for her match later on with Indi Hartwell, and George Iceman, personal concierge, comes up and it says, I know what you've been up to. I know you want a shot at that Knockouts world title, but there are some people in front of you. And he lists Masha Slamovich at Victory Road, talks about Indi Hartwell at Bound for Glory. And then he says, you know what? There's an open line for you if you just beat up Indi Hartwell. And maybe Ash will give you a title shot a little bit quicker if you help us, quid pro quo. And Dani gives Iceman like an acknowledging but also look of disgust simultaneously, which I quite enjoyed. This direction with Dani Luna is nice. I was waiting for one of the two members of Spitfire to break out as singles. I like what they're doing with Dani because she has worked as a singles competitor. I mean, so is Jody Threat, but I mean on TV or at least in some sort of just a different character capacity. Jody's been Jody forever. They haven't really taken a chance on Jody Threat kind of crossing the aisle, being a bad guy, being different than who she is. And I'm waiting for that day, but I also know that there's still some time and there's still some development with Jody, and we'll talk about it later because she does have a segment with Victoria Crawford that we'll get there. But I'm happy to see what they're doing with Dani Luna, and I'm also happy to see that they're not just having her face Jody Threat in some sort of my former friends, now my newest enemy. So there's good stuff of her to come. They talk about the TNA keyboard warriors. So I didn't get to get my thoughts on the show on Tuesday so much because I was traveling. And for those of you who don't know, first of all, I have a show called In the Weeds. It's a morning show over on Fightful Overbooked, our sister channel. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. We got plenty to talk about tomorrow like we do every day. We also had Gates of Agony on the show this morning as well, so you should check that out. Sean was in the interview along with Jeremy Lambert and the aforementioned SB3. They talked to Gates of Agony from AEW today. Plenty of stuff over on In the Weeds and of course over on Overbooked, so check that out. But I wasn't able to do Wednesday's show because I was traveling. I kind of popped in and gave my jokey thoughts, but now let's talk brass tacks. On Tuesday's NXT, they were running the story with Trick and Mello teaming up again. For NXT fans, they were a tag team for a long time before Carmelo Hayes got called up to main roster, and Trick Williams is doing what he's doing now. Trick's not supposed to defend the title until Bound for Glory, but on NXT, Trick keeps coming up to the NXT champion Obafemi and saying, I want that title. I deserve that title. Give me your title. And this is the only thing that's going to get Trick Williams to defend it. So after that tag match that I just mentioned from NXT Homecoming this past Tuesday, they made a match. There's title for title, winner take all, which is something that they love doing this now in NXT. It's a weird, like, let's pop the rating and let's give a little like, oh, what's going to happen next? And quite frankly, if you go back in the lineage of the winner take all, it doesn't always end with much. Just think about it. Go back and look. And instead, you're going to do the TNA World Champion versus the NXT Champion title for title. Do I expect this match to have a finish where someone wins both titles? I do not, because throughout the night on Tuesday, TNA talent, everyone except Carlos Silva, I see you, big dog, They were tweeting out their displeasure at the fact that the TNA World Champion was defending his title in NXT and not showing up at TNA, which is something that I have been very much against. Now, here's the thing. I understand that from the standpoint of how many eyes might view your TNA World Champion are greater on the CW and on NXT, I understand that mentality. But what I do not understand is why your TNA World title match is for Bound for Glory, which is, you said, your biggest show of the year. Why that entire build is being done on your NXT television without the guy who's supposed to be challenging for it, which is Mike Santana, and he's on the show tonight as well, talking about the build to Bound for Glory and how it's his time. The keyboard warrior thing. All these TNA talent are tweeting, how dare he, how dare he. I'm so pissed off. And I'm of multiple mindsets. They're trying to do the, rah, we're doing it on socials because everyone else talks about the show, so why should we? And then I think about the other side where it's like, maybe this is just cynical of me. It feels like what they're trying to do is almost look at these wrestling fan keyboard warriors. Look at them when they have their takes during the shows. Oh, and how annoying that gets. We're turning the mirror on them. But the big difference here, if this is the case, and again, this is me being cynical. If this is the case, I ask the question, who do you think books the show? The fans? Or your creative team that you work with whenever you're in town? If this is the case and they're trying to be cute, then they got to find they got to find some new clothes to wear, maybe something a little more flattering, maybe a new pair of boots or a new pair of shoes, maybe they got to find a new chain, maybe they got to find some earrings, maybe they got to find that, that new pair of glasses that makes their eyes pop. I don't care what they do, but that wasn't it. So they did this whole, we're pissed off and we're not going to take it anymore. And they didn't show up at NXT Homecoming. And because they made this match for this winner take all on Tuesday, I have to assume that they're going to show up and brawl in the parking lot of the PC. And, you're going to get the PC faithful. This is awesome. And the TNA fans who are not there because we're not in Florida at the PC every week, like the same 400 people are, we're going to be sitting there being like, all right, cool. See you on Thursday when you don't talk about it because you've already taped everything in the can and you're more worried about, the Hardys and the Dudleys are going to have a match. And we'll get to that rant in a few minutes. Don't you worry. I don't know what this is in service of, if not the idea that you think more eyes are going to watch the Tuesday show, which is going to then create more buzz for the Thursday show, but it's not. And ratings and general social media trends have not changed based on this. So what does this serve and who does this serve? And if someone says the answer is a new TV deal, why are you trying to promote a TV deal based on the backs of someone else doing the heavy work for you and not putting all of your eggs into the carton that is your world title match at your biggest show of the year? Why are you trying to service two masters at once and fail at one of them? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I understand the chat saying Victory Road and No Mercy are days apart. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because Victory Road is being treated as a low-level show, with Bound for Glory is very clearly the next one up, and No Mercy is being treated as an NXT PLE that you're going to watch, and it's another show that has a bunch of matches on it that you're going to see. They're not being treated as big events. Bound for Glory is the next big one, and that's October 12th. Otherwise, we're just kind of there. Cyclops Better Than Wolverine sends a super chat and says, like always, TNA sits in that chair, of which there were way too many in my hotel. I gotta tell you, if you go watch the video, there were a lot of those in my hotel. It was very strange. And takes it. LOL. It's hard to disagree, at least in the world title scene and the way that they were making the wrestlers do the tweets. I think one of my favorite things was someone noticed when NXT posted the homecoming video, Cassie Lee had posted, just retweeted it, and it was home, and it was at 6:58, and then at 7:12 she got the memo. She had to tweet things about how NXT's being screwy with TNA and enough is enough, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I thought it was very funny. It's like, oh, she got the memo a little late. So we'll see where it lands. Again, I expect Tuesday to be this whole brawl thing, sure, but again, if you've already set most of your matches for Bound for Glory, what is this in service of? I'm mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore. Is it going to become a lumberjack match at Bound for Glory between Santana and Trick? Again, why? I have a lot of questions and I don't have many answers because it feels like this title match is being booked more on vibes than it is being booked on a coherent story. And that's a big problem. That's a big issue that TNA seems to be having these times. You know what's not a big problem? ODB. Well, she's got a food truck. If you didn't know, they're showing you outside that she's driving it around doing the gimmick. The Rascals are enjoying it. Gia Miller's enjoying it. Alicia Edwards, they're enjoying the food. And then they cut back to the ring, or to the inside of the building, Minneapolis, in the Armory, and she's in the crowd. And then they make a joke about her staying for this match because her husband's in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, her and EY very famously got married in their underpants in a cage. Zelina Vega was in that segment as well. Anyway, yes, Eric Young's in the next match. By the way, former Knockouts Tag Team Champion Eric Young. That one. Mm-hmm. Judas Icarus defeats Eric Young. It's a good match. I love Sinner and Saint. Judas Icarus is a weird kind of dude, and I mean that in the best pro wrestling way. The way that he moves around the ring, he slinks. The way that he operates is really fun. I like watching him work. I like him. I like Travis Williams as well. We haven't had a chance to see him do much in the last little bit, but he beats Eric Young because nobody said his name, but he appeared. Joe Hendry showed up. Judas Icarus takes advantage, and he basically does a jackknife pin. And you can hear, if you have headphones on in the background, you can hear someone say, "Are you effing kidding me right now?" It's very loud. It was very funny. The rest of the match, though, I mean, EY at one point hits Icarus so hard that the lights went down, and they got a little confused. And they came back up. They got back to it. There's at one point, Judas Icarus runs through the ropes to trip up Eric Young as he's climbing the top rope. And that was really cool. That brought EY down to the back to the mat. Icarus gets up top and hits a big frog splash. It looked really good, by the way. And then the referee gets threatened by EY. He lands a low blow on Judas Icarus, and that's when Henry shows up, and the rest of the match happens. Post-match, EY just cold cocks the referee, and you know what? I get it. I get it. In a company that has shown time and again, ineptitude is what you give to the referees. You get what you give. Love Eric Young, though. Maybe Eric Elder. He's not Eric Young. He's Eric Old. Shout out to you. Cyclops is better than Wolverine, saying, wait, how many of those chairs was it and why? So when I was in London, I got upgraded in my hotel because my room wasn't ready when I checked in. So they upgraded me to like a 1-bedroom suite. Now I wasn't balling, don't worry. I was staying at a pretty normal hotel. It just so happened that they had a suite, and they were like, well, no one's using it. You're here for one night, so go ahead, you get it. It's a 1-bedroom. It literally just was the size of a 1-bedroom apartment where the bed is in another room, and then you got a room with a kitchenette and a couch and a TV. You've got 2 of those chairs with a sofa bed, so you can count those 2. And then there's another one, a nicer one, in the bedroom where I was. So there you go. Shout out to that hotel. I don't want to shout out this. Victoria Crawford did her podcast again. They moved it backstage because last week, quite frankly, I didn't get to talk about it, but it was a trash fire. The one that they did live in front of the crowd with Gia Miller was not good. Capital not good. Not good. So they did it backstage. Jody Threat is the guest this week. Basically, it all comes down to them arguing over who has friends. The idea that Jody has none. And Jody's like, I got friends. I got backup. It's cool. Don't worry about it. And meanwhile, Victoria Crawford's like, oh, I have a friend, but she was suspended. And I like my friend. And it's like, well, nobody else likes your friend. But anyway, Gia Miller comes in and she's like, I'm not the reason your friend is being kept at home. So I went to Santino, and told him Tessa can come back to work. So she's been unsuspended. I want you to know, if you have a problem with Tessa Blanchard coming back to TNA, you can talk to Gia Miller about it. Gia Miller is the reason Santino got the suspension lifted, went to Santino, got the suspension lifted. It's Gia Miller's fault. That's really all you need to know. So Tessa will be back presumably next week because Why would you say that if you didn't have plans to bring her back? But then Gia says, if she puts hands on me, I will bleep her up. Kudos to you, Gia Miller. You either heard me out or someone told you, never say, I will you. Never say, I will kill you. Never say that in a wrestling promo. Don't do what you can't do. Don't say what you can't do. But her saying, I will F you up is perfect. I thought that was good. If they have a match at Bound for Glory, I know Gia's been training. I know that she is more than capable. I think it'd be fun. I think if Tessa Blanchard wins her third pay-per-view match in a row, I would definitely laugh. The Rascals. The Rascals are in the treehouse. Shout out to Wentz. He's wearing a Sleep Token t-shirt. Even one of the TNA execs pointed that out. But yes, he's wearing a Sleep Token t-shirt. Trey and Wentz are upset that neither of them pulled out on each other. Sorry, that's not what they talked about pulling out. It was very awkward, but it was very much about pulling out and who did and who didn't. Myron Reed is the number one contender for the X Division Championship. They have a match. It's going to be Leon Slater, Myron Reed at Victory Road. And then, of course, everyone's happy because Rascal's challenging for the title, so they get high. And then Santino shows up for some reason because they want to, the boys want to fight each other because they're like, yeah, we're brothers, we fight. That's cool. So basically all this said to me was Santino's going to make an Ultimate X match at Bound for Glory. It's not been announced yet, but I have to assume that Ultimate X will return at Bound for Glory, and it'll be something like Leon Slater, Cedric Alexander, the three Rascals. That's 5. Add a 6 if you got some sort of legend. If you don't want to put Jake Something in there. Oh no, he did. Jake Something is in there because Santino made an allusion to Jake Something being part of this whole thing. So there you go. There's your 6 guys for Ultimate X. Last time Jake Something was in Ultimate X, Alan Angels was kicking him in the dick. That was Slammiversary 2023. Jet Speed were both in that match. Good for them. They'll be at AEW All Out on Saturday, challenging for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Speaking of tag team titles, the Eleganceseseseses defeat Masha Slamovich and the IInspiration. At the beginning of this match, I had to take off my headphones because I'd never heard so much screeching in my life, and that was the Eleganceseseses just screeching throughout the first 5 minutes. Masha doing the IInspiration pose is both hilarious and unsettling because if you know Masha Slamovich, she can beat you up, and if you see her do the iconic, if you see her do that, she'll probably run away. Later in the match, Slamovich chases Iceman, and then as she's chasing him around the ring, she eats a super kick from M by Elegance. Ash gets run out of the whole entire arena, and then she comes back mid-match, hides behind commentary, and so I think she loses her shoe because at one point she does something ringside, the referee's not seeing it, and then she runs away to go hide behind Ray Walton Hannafin. And then there's someone, if you look in the background, someone's handing something to Ingrid, who is the floor director, who's always, at the side stage for Impact or ringside for Impact and for all TNA stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was a shoe because I thought it was a champagne bottle, but she didn't use it. So I'm assuming her shoe came off. But if you go back and watch it, it's a cute, funny little stupid thing because I point out cute, stupid little funny things. This match was good. This was a solid match. Masha has a great clothesline DDT twofer that she hits on both M and Heather Reckless, or Heather by Elegance, I should say. Iceman tries to give M a tag team title. Cassie intercepts it. The referee takes it. Well, she gives it to the referee who takes it away. And then while that's happening, the referee's distracted. So Ash splashes champagne in Cassie's eyes while M stacks her up for the win. And that's when I say, boy, every single match is a messed up finish tonight. And that's every single match except for one. And that was the squash. Every match tonight had some sort of messy interference finish, and it just got silly. There was no reason for it. Every match tonight, someone had to get involved. And if it didn't end in a DQ, then it ended with someone getting involved and causing someone to lose. And that's like, you gotta talk to each other if you're agenting these matches. You gotta talk to each other and you gotta plan for it because everyone is interfering with everyone's shit, and it doesn't look good when every match ends this way, with the exception of the DQ finish and the squash match. And even then, people get involved after the fact. So, I digress. Get in your super chats, folks. Get in your humper chats. Let's talk about the King's speech. The big return, the big moment. Kazarian comes down and says, Minneapolis is known for a prince, and now they get to see a king. I like that reference because I am a music fan. And of course, Prince being very famously from Minnesota, from the Minneapolis area, people get very excited for Prince, and they get to see a king, all adorned in yellow. Ugh, a very hot yellow color. Anyway, mustard. That's what it was. Mustard yellow. Anyway, Frankie's his own guest, and he gets to announce that he and Macklin are going to have an international championship match at Victory Road. And then he introduces former TNA World Champion Ken Anderson, who now resides in the Minneapolis area, formerly from Green Bay, Wisconsin, as they pointed out. And he says, it's been 9 years since I've been in a TNA ring, and this is home for me. And then Kaz reminds Ken of their Ultimate X match, their singles Ultimate X match, of which there have only been a few, and Kazarian won. That's a little sore spot. And then Kazarian brings up that Ken actually served in the U.S. Marine Reserves and uses that as an excuse to run down Steve Macklin. And when Anderson came out, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, how do they tie this into Macklin? I didn't realize that he had U.S. Army experience. And maybe I just never thought about it. Maybe it was talked about, but I never really paid attention. Maybe I forgot. But the moment he brought that up, I was like, this is perfect. For this particular story, this works great. And this is one of those one-offs with Ken, as far as I can tell. He's here for what was these tapings, and that's it. And so they got a couple of episodes of Impact with him, right? He's going to be in a tag match next week. That's announced. So let's get to the end of the segment. They talk about the U.S. Army experience. Kazarian uses that experience to run down Macklin. Ken rebuts and says, hey, Frankie, when did you serve? And that got the crowd up. And then Kazarian points out Ken's mom and his family are in the crowd. And here's the thing. They are in the crowd. They're not like sitting ringside and it's like, oh, look at me ringside. No, they're just sitting out there in the crowd. From what I heard and from what I read, Ken may have kayfabed his family about being involved with this, or at least his kids, because as I was told, I'm not totally sure if it's true or not, so I'm just putting it out there. I don't think it's a big deal if it turns out that it's not true, that his kids didn't know, or maybe Ken mentioned that his kids didn't know that he was going to be wrestling, and he wanted to do that in front of them because I don't think they've ever gotten a chance to see him wrestle, considering they're younger. And I thought that's really cool. I thought that's really nice. And at the end, Kazarian threatens to beat up Ken in front of his family, and Ken goes after Kazarian. Jake Something goes after Mr. Anderson, and then out comes Macklin, and he dumps Jake Something, and now we'll get a tag match next week. And I don't mind that this is the way we're going, because again, at least you're using the Macklin U.S. Army storyline to add in Ken Anderson, have a little extra baby face with a little history, because Ken's a former world champion, and so is Macklin, and he's a current champion, and Kazarian is a former champion. Like it all kind of makes sense. And Jake Something being injected in this is nice, because Jake's been kind of rudderless, and his heel turn has been a little unsubstantiated. So putting him next to a guy like Frankie Kazarian, who is very firmly a heel, it works. So I give this particular segment, a bigger thumbs up, because Kazarian's good at just getting that heat. And the fact that he gets to bring on Jake Something to work with him in this particular instance, that is nice for me to see. And it's nice to see them building a character beyond just guy who says cool things and then maybe gets booed. Let pieces of garbage get booed. That's what you should do. Just let them get booed. Speaking of pieces of garbage, Dani Luna comes out later. I'm talking a character. I'm not talking, she's a lovely, lovely person. I'm not saying she's talking her character is garbage. She takes on Indi Hartwell in a match that felt like 80% of it was Dani Luna getting the offense in, and Luna uses a chair on Indi for disqualification. The match was okay. The match was fine. It felt weird that Indi was giving up that much to Dani, knowing that Indi is going to be challenging for the Knockouts World Championship at Bound for Glory. Post-match is really what this was all about. It was security comes out. Luna swings the chair like a damn sword. And not up and down. She was swinging it across. And that was crazy, because at one point it looked like she was going to take someone's head off with the chair. Nearly hit security. She doesn't. And that was the segment. But yeah, Dani Luna gets disqualified. Indi technically wins, but the way that they played out this match was it was a little strange. And again, a DQ finish. Backstage, Xia Brookside and Laying Lee, they're a tag team now. Who would have thought? They're called the Angel Warriors, to which I said, what about the Kabuki Warriors? Will they want to face them? No, because TNA and NXT work together, not WWE. That was just my thought, because I thought Warriors and Warriors. And I was like, oh, there's also the WWE Kabuki Warriors, right? I don't know what happened, because 2025 was supposed to be a big year for Xia Brookside, as far as I understood. Something got derailed. Maybe it was an injury. Maybe it was something else. But them being a tag team is not terrible. And don't get me wrong. I don't think that this is a demotion. I just think that this is maybe an alternative for Xia Brookside. Putting her with Laying Lee is good, because Laying Lee is also a strong wrestler. So we'll see where they land. This was another one of those, we got to put together two tag teams and see where they fit. Meanwhile, Mila Grace and Harley Hudson are falling off the radar again. I hope that they're okay. I hope it's nothing big that's keeping them away from working, because they brought them in after Slammiversary and they haven't really done anything as a tag team since those tapings, if I'm not mistaken. Unless they've been on, Explosion. Do you watch Explosion? Good for you. Mike Santana defeats AJZ. AJZ cuts a promo, and of course he's wearing tiny jean shorts, so that's heat. You know what else is heat? Yelling so much. Why does he yell? Why does AJZ feel the need to yell Yelly McYellerson in my face, in my ears, in my soul? So much screamy. He could use therapy. And this isn't a segue, because no, find good therapy at home. Good, honest therapy. Find it. Anyway, AJZ comes out and says, I was supposed to have the match last week with Mike Santana, but because of Trick, he got taken out. So technically I won. And then he goes after local sports team heat, because that always goes over. Sure. Santana comes out, he squashes AJZ, great stuff, and then cuts a promo about Bound for Glory, and out comes Ridge Holland. NXT and Evolve's Ridge Holland appears. From what I've been told, there were several TNA talent who pitched working with Ridge. He's well liked. And this is an opportunity for him to work with Mike Santana through the crossover and get Santana closer to the Trick Williams match. And I like it. I like Ridge. I like that Mike and Ridge can beat the crap out of each other as early as Victory Road. And if they announce that match, I will be all for it. I think it would be a good time. So all around good stuff. Very nice surprise, because it felt like we were going to get there eventually. Next week on the show, the Rascals take on Cedric Alexander and Leon Slater. Victoria Crawford takes on Jody Threats. Mr. Anderson and Steve Macklin take on Frankie Kazarian and Jake Something, and it's the final negotiation, the Hardys and Team 3D. All right. Main event time. The Hardys defeat the Nemeths. Matt Cardona's on commentary. Carlos Silva's at ringside with Anthem execs. They're dancing during Matt Cardona's theme song for whatever reason. Matt Cardona eventually gets involved. The match, I'm not going to go through beat by beat of the match. It's the Hardys and the Nemeths. You've literally seen this match 27 times. You have. You really have. You've seen Matt Cardona with all of these men 27 times, minus Ryan, where it's been like twice. But either way, Cardona gets involved, takes out Ryan Nemeth. Nick goes after Matt Cardona. They hit a twist of fate on Ryan Nemeth. Jeff hits the swanton. The Hardys retain. So, for some reason now, this is rant number 2. I hope you're ready. For some reason now, the match at Bound for Glory between the Hardys and Team 3D will almost certainly be for the tag team titles. Oh, but Joel, you still got Victory Road. Anything can change now and then. No, it can't, because Victory Road is in Edmonton. There's one Hardy who will not be making the trip to Edmonton. I don't need to tell you which one, because you know it's Jeff. So the Hardys will not be defending the titles unless they suddenly do the whole, well, Matt, you pick a partner and you can defend the tag titles. They're not going to do that again, because there's no reason to. They're going to put the tag titles on the line against Team 3D. You can make the argument that the Nemeth should have won, but this is the nostalgia play that TNA wanted to do from the get-go. And next week, they're going to do the final negotiation, and they're going to tell you that it's going to be Team 3D and the Hardys, and they're going to have a match, and it's going to be for the tag titles. And I'm not going to tell you what the stipulation is, because everyone else out there has either told you, and we try not to do spoilers on this particular show. if you watch In the Weeds tomorrow, I'll probably spoil it because we've talked about it openly and because it's TV tapings. So we try to be respectful here, but it's all bets off on the other shows. So they're going to do the match, and it's going to be for the tag titles, and there will be a stipulation, and that is sure, man. Because the problem is this is probably going to be the main event. Yeah. Because this is the match that was first announced. This is the match that they were playing with from Slammiversary. From the get, they've been telling you, this is the match. This is the one. You want to see it. This is the one you want to see. Because they know that the Hardys are the cash cow for TNA. It's the Hardys and Joe Hendry. And Joe Hendry, as reported this week through SI and John Alba, and with your own two eyes, if you're watching NXT on Tuesdays, the expectation is Joe Hendry is going to be slowly phased and trickled out of TNA as he starts to wind down his contract and move over to NXT full-time in 2026. That's the expectation. So Hendry and the Hardys, as I've said and many others have said, they are the cash cows for TNA. And AO in the chat saying the Hardys main evented last year's Bound for Glory. So the reason I was told this happened last year was not for the reasons that I'm talking about right now. It was actually a logistical reason. And that was Jeff had painted all of that art on the canvas, on the ladders, on the chairs, on the tables. Because of all the art and because of all the presentation of it, it had to go on last. And that's, I don't know if that's how they decided that Henry wasn't going to win, but we're faced with the same idea here. Because this is a parallel to last year, where it's going to be Mike Santana and Trick for the TNA World title at Bound for Glory, and another tag team title match between the Hardys and Team 3D as it's like one last time, never again, This seems like it's the main event, this tag team title match. And if you do that, why bother with Mike Santana? Why bother giving him that moment? Just don't. I've gone from give him the moment to don't bother if this is your main event, because you have no reason to have Mike Santana win earlier in the night just to overshadow it with whatever the Hardys and Team 3D do. We're in 2025. TLC was 25 years ago. This is ridiculous, but we're doing it because it's total nostalgic action for Bound for Glory. I get it. Again, I said it again from a business standpoint. I get it. The Hardys are a golden calf. They are a godsend, and they continue to do good work. They're entertaining. People love them. I get it. Does not have to be the main events. And if it is, well, here you go. So that's tonight's show. The Hardys are still the tag champions. The Nemeths are who knows what. For all I know, it's going to be Nick versus Ryan. And I've been pitching that one for a while because I want JBL to come out and side with Ryan Nemeth just so I can make a joke or two. So we'll see where that goes. But the Nemeths are currently men without an island for Bound for Glory. I don't know where they fit. If they're going to do Matt Cardona and Nick Nemeth one more time, I think it was something like the 27th time on television. And I wasn't kidding. Like, you go on Cage Match, you can look. Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder against Nick Nemeth or Dolph Ziggler has been a match that we have seen on TV a plethora of times. And if that's going to be a Bound for Glory match, I hope they make it fun. I hope they make it good and maybe do a loser leaves TNA match. I don't know what the contract statuses are for, I don't know. I don't know what they are, but that's where we stand. Get ready. I think it's going to be the main event. Might just be that one last match, Team 3D and the Hardys. We'll see. That's TNA for September 18th. Like I said, programming note at the top, we're not doing a Victory Road post show on the Friday next week because the show starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, which means it won't end until after midnight Eastern. And I'm not staying up for that. I'll watch it later. I will watch it later. But instead, I'll continue watching this. And next week, myself and SP3 will be here. We'll break it down. Sorry. I have been up for way too long. I have not slept enough. It's time for me to go to bed. So leave a thumbs up on the way out. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.